This is the best of Empty the Bench with Tom Albano, Nick Morgasen, and Nick Fodera on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network.
And welcome everybody to the final edition of the best of Empty the Bench for 2021. Tom Albano here, Nick Morgasen, Nick Fodera. We are back together as a trio. And this is just a little look back once again on the stuff that we had in 2021, which, by the way, it's officially January 1st. Happy New Year! Happy 2022!
It doesn't feel any different from yesterday, so that must mean either time moves slowly or I'm just getting older and crankier.
Or you mean we just had a time warp? One of the two. But you know what? We're going to look back.
We thought that 2021 was going to be better than 2020, and
hey, be careful what you wish for. I wouldn't say anything just yet. But in this show, we're going to look at some of what I like to call the Nick, and Tom trending moments that made us look like fools.
So what this is are the moments we often mention that moments get traction on the show, and this really is what these clips are. The common theme is these are the ones that got the most traction in terms of making us look like idiots, whether it was a good point or a rant or anything that got a lot of attention. We're featuring it here.
So that's the thing. We don't necessarily have to look like idiots in this clip, but like some of it is ranting on certain trending topics of sports at the time. Some of it are takes or ideas, whether good or bad or somewhere in between that we've all had. Some of these are headlines that, missed out on the cut of last week's best of on the best headlines. If you were watching last week's best of on top headlines of the year and you saw something of, like, wait, you guys didn't talk about this thing. It's probably mentioned here in the top clips.
There's an 80% chance it ended up here.
Let's put it this way. We saved the best moments for last because we want to make sure we leave on a bang and start the new season on a good foot.
Yeah. And even if these clips don't have any of us ranting or look like idiots, somehow they just managed to be some of our top clips numbers-wise on Twitter. So,
well, let's tell everybody, because we didn't mention that specifically. So these clips are based on impressions numbers on social media, and you'll be surprised at some of these moments, because some you'll say, the light bulb went off, and some you'll say, I don't get it.
This seems like a normal clip.
Yeah.
How did that get there?
How did that end up getting attention?
So these are our rants. These are just some trending topics at the time.
Yeah, well, let's talk about segment one. So we're going to have three segments here. We broke down the year into 3-4 month sections.
Just like last week. And right off the bat, I can see my idiocy made it to the top. So we have a rant on Nick Morgasen about Adam Gase being fired. So let me actually give some context here. You had said all of the end of 2020, Adam Gase needed to go. This clip that's starting us off is actually a response to a report by none other than Craig Carden that Adam Gase was going to be fired at the end of the season. And it was basically a rant of you going, no bleep Sherlock.
Yeah, I mean, once a jerk, always a jerk. I mean, it's kind of ironic that a jerk broke news about another jerk who basically has to be wide-eyed and bushy-tailed when trying to explain something.
It's like a Mobius strip of jerks.
I just think... But basically, it's like a pot calling the kettle black at that point in time.
We have me basically at the end of that last NFL season when the Eagles pulled their thing on Sunday Night Football, me saying, you know what, that's the straw. The NFL needs a draft lottery.
I totally forgot about that.
I forgot about that too.
You had a rant for the ages. I remember that.
Because you have to understand something. Tom doesn't rant a lot. He's often the straight man to my lunacy and Nick's lunacy.
I am the glue that holds this show together.
Yes,
well, I am going off.
Let's say one thing. Yeah. We made a resolution, Nick and I at least, that Tom needs to be a little more fiery in 2022.
Yeah, because again, it's not that it's fun to watch because you know what? It's like Mr. Rogers getting into a shouting match. I mean, you don't want to. I mean, you don't want to stare, but you don't want to look away.
So you're saying if I had what's it called, an avatar on the screen instead of me ranting like I am right now, it should be that photo of Mr. Rogers sticking up the middle finger.
Yes, essentially.
But just some other stuff. We had some great parodies over the year as well, including some magic done. I guess you want to talk about Canadian sports radio.
The TSN cuts. Yes. Right before the ESPN cuts happened again, we had the TSN cuts.
The TSN format changed. So in a stroke of genius, we decided to, or lunacy, whichever came first.
Both.
Yeah. So what we decided to do was, hey, let's make an ad for us. So Tom, I think wrote the dialogue. I think I contributed a line here and there, but the music I think was the.
That was you.
Yeah, that was.
You know what? You know what? Screw it. Let's play that now. Let's play the parody right now. I can't wait.
Okay.
Screw it. Let's do it now.
As of today, Empty the Bench will no longer be a sports talk show. This was a tough decision, but due to the ignorance of some greedy billionaire with the last name Bell, hundreds of employees will now be faced with the sudden reality of their unemployment. We want to thank our 3 hosts, as well as Facebook, for putting up with our shenanigans, and all the advertising partners that we don't have. Most of all, we'd like to thank you, the fans. And if there's one thing to leave on, it's to say, go yourselves with a rake. The new format will debut next Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The preceding announcement has been made without the consent of Tom Albano, Nick Fodera, and Nick Morgasen.
That was probably one of the funniest moments we came up with this year.
That's honestly one of my. I'm glad I played that now because that's one of my favorite moments of 2020.
Yeah, that's definitely up there.
I mean, there's been some strokes of genius, including the NBA PSA, which was last week, where we talked about that. That was another stroke of genius when it came to parodying NBA Cares.
Yeah.
Other clips, by the way, because I want to move on to the clips themselves. See, this is what I talk about with like random clips. Us talking about J.J. Watt signing with the Cardinals. I think that was just because we were just laughing at the Texans' misery.
Yeah, because how... Again, it comes up to why did that get attention?
Because Texans' misery.
I guess Texans' misery, it sells.
Well, or it was just the embarrassing amount of riches that the Cardinals got, too.
True.
That was part of it.
We got... also in this first segment, by the way, a couple of clips about Deshaun Watson. Probably something in there about you, Nick Morgasen, going off on Tony Busby.
I think I'm still living rent-free in Deshaun Watson's head.
Let's see. Do you want to check if you're still blocked? Because I think you still are.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to. Well, no, I think I get a 20-volt shock every time I type in Deshaun Watson on Twitter. Let's see.
And then we have the NFL basically and trying to mandate the COVID vaccine prior to training camp. Which we see how that turned out.
Yes, you can see how, that was a common theme with a lot of my rants this year, where I kind of lost it a couple times, and COVID was usually the cause.
Well, update. Yes, we're the ETD Sports account, and I believe you, Nick Morgasen, are both still blocked by Deshaun Watson.
Thank you. I'm living rent-free in Deshaun Watson's head. I'm okay with that.
Block.
All right. We're not going to block you from the clips anymore. Take it away. All right. So now let's briefly get to that. I call it an unconfirmed report. So of all sources that it comes from WFAN here in New York, which is...
Wait a minute. Say the name.
Craig Harden.
Now, of course, we cannot exactly, hold him up as a bastion of journalistic integrity.
That's why I use the term unconfirmed.
Yes, because he is not a journalist. But still. What was it he said?
All right, so it is a report, though, from a credible radio station, maybe not a credible journalist. WFAN near New York is reporting that Adam Gase has been informed already that tomorrow's game, January 3rd against the Patriots, will be his final as the head coach of the New York Jets.
Oh, shocker! It was his last game? No, I thought they were going to bring him back for another season.
I mean, you never know what this Jets team is.
It's the Jets, man. They surprise you in the worst ways.
You know what? I can't even like. It's over. It should have been over halfway through the fucking season. I'm sorry. I'm just mad right now. Can't you tell I'm angry right now with this whole situation?
No, absolutely not. It was a disgrace to the sport of football. You play to freaking win the game. And if you think I have a gripe, I'm sad that other poll that we did on our social media didn't do well, because I want to know how the Lions fans feel. I want to know how the Panthers feel. I want to know how the Broncos feel.
You just got leapfrogged in draft position.
Exactly. And you know, it sounds like, oh, one pick isn't a big deal. But when you consider the fact, you know, that 2017, the Bears moved up one spot to select Mitch Trubisky, the fact that last draft, Tampa Bay moved up one slot just to grab somebody. One slot can make a big difference. Oh, let's talk about in this draft how all of a sudden, you know, those 2 wins by the Jets, and now all of a sudden the Jaguars are going to be the ones getting Trevor Lawrence. It's time for the lottery. I can't believe I'm saying this. Thank you. Nick, you are right. So 9:30 comes around, and here's what TSN 1040 in Vancouver played and went out to the air to its audience and its employees, technically, by that nature.
We have some news to share today about changes to our programming. As of today, CKST will no longer be a sports talk radio station. This was a difficult decision, but the realities of the quickly evolving broadcast media landscape in Canada have made this change unavoidable. We want to thank our on-air personalities, advertising partners and sponsors, and everyone who has contributed to this station. But especially, we want to thank you, our listeners. Our work here at TSN 1040 was driven by our passion to bring you the very best sports, news, and discussion. We sincerely appreciate the time you spent with us. You can continue to find TSN sports content on the iHeartRadio Canada platform and on TSN, tsn.ca, and the TSN app. The new format of the station will be launched this Friday at 7 a.m. Thank you again for your loyalty over the years.
Wait for it. Now that is what you can say. That last bit is what you call a kick.
Now, for licensee purposes, we can't play the rest of what you were about to hear. So basically, at the end of that fucked up ad, I'm sorry, but this really got me angry, is they play Good Riddance, Time of Your Life by Green Day after they just fired hundreds of people.
I was going to say, which, if you know the song Good Riddance, Time of Your Life, it is a very sentimental song, yes, but the title of it, Good Riddance, when you're firing people all
and you know what's even worse, and I don't know, let's see, which side do I want to take first? One, the song is fucked up, that you just fired hundreds and hundreds of people who just lost their job on the spot. Two, they had 30 minutes to grab all the shit in their office and get out.
Reportedly, yeah.
What is this, beat the clock?
Actually, and not all the employees knew of what was going on. Well, I remember reading some stories about how some employees didn't know until that announcement played or until they got some sort of text. Like I remember, I follow James Lynch, so the Canadian MMA writer, and I mean not Canadian MMA journalist, and basically he was liking stories because he actually has some connections. He listened to TSN 1040 just about every day. He's been on Canadian radio back in the day, I think on the TSN network. And basically, apparently some people would text their coworkers, you know, oh, I'm so sorry about what happened. And they would get back a response like, what happened? TSN and Bell Media elected to basically not even tell their employees until it was time.
You want to know how some of the people found out? You know how I don't know if you've been inside a ton of radio stations, but like for me, when I worked at the radio station, they had speakers in the wall so you could hear outside the studio.
So you could hear the station.
Right. So that some people found out from the speakers in the wall when they heard the announcement. No warning, no message, no email, right from the speaker in the ceiling.
What a fucked up organization. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my French, but what a fucked up thing.
They are. And I can attest right from working in the business that the radio business is a sketchy, unfortunate business. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go into it because there are some nice people in it.
I'm actually going to, I think, Nick, you are being very, because when you were promoting this episode, you mentioned just Bell Media about how bad they are. I'm actually going to take your 2 points. I'm going to extend it further. I think the media world is an absolutely fucked up industry. It was a subliminal tweet. Everyone was trying to figure out what exactly it meant. We had the 11 letters of the Bills. I liked Frank Isola's interpretation, which was an anagram. It should have been monitor a shy D, which he might have gone to the Bears.
Which was completely wrong in every aspect of it.
Of all the teams that he chooses a 2-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals.
And by the way, you can thank J.J. Watt because he kind of pulled his own Adam Schefter and broke his own news.
Source me. He broke his own news. Source is me.
Hey, Adam Schefter, F you. I don't need you.
Yeah, I'll do it. Well, since you all weren't expecting it, I don't know if Schefter would have picked up on it had he not said anything.
Hey, Schefter. Hey, Rappaport. We don't need you.
Because I can't remember them even hearing any whispers about the Arizona Cardinals being in play for him.
Well, there's one specific reason I think he went to Arizona.
Well, I'll say there is actually a report out that he allegedly had texted Kyler Murray, the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. He's basically, I'll say, I don't know if this is word for word, but paraphrasing, basically.
Oh, I saw them. I saw the DM.
I came here because of you, because I believe in you.
Player tampering? I think not. Anyway.
I mean,
I don't know if I'd say tampering, but no pressure, Kyler.
Reaches out to the quarterback. I mean, if it's the other way around, that's tampering. But
I was gonna say no. You know what this is? This is no pressure, Kyler.
Yeah, you're fine.
Wait a minute. What about Hopkins? He's there also, isn't he?
I was going to get to the comment, guys. The Cardinals look like the Texans, bitch. I mean, the Texans look like the Cardinals, bitch.
They do. It's bad enough that Bill O'Brien got fleeced. It's bad enough that they committed highway robbery and took everything but the pair of underpants he was wearing. And I'm not entirely sure they didn't pick in that.
Mr. Busby is talking with Fox 26. It's one of the local Fox stations
in Houston. Yeah.
And basically, the accusation was Watson taking a text message too far, whatever that means. And then all of a sudden, the next morning, actually, wait, there is one more detail about the Tuesday night thing. Albert, I think it's Albright.
Albright. It was, I know who, Benjamin Albright.
Benjamin Albright.
He covers the Denver Broncos for a radio station down there in Denver.
AJ Perez was also on this.
Albright basically saying, he knows Deshaun and, this can't possibly be. AJ Perez, like Nick said, actually a friend of ours from the Unspoken podcast days, then showed some evidence in which apparently Mr. Busby never filed a lawsuit on that day. Like
at the time.
At the time he hadn't in Harris County, which is where the greater Houston area, that's the county it belongs in.
And then, but then the next day, a lawsuit was filed, and all of a sudden, this text turned too far, turns into an alleged sexual assault. Apparently, the details of it is Deshaun Watson was in a massage parlor and basically put his you-know-what on the woman.
There's a lot of issues here. One, first of all, as a lawyer, I've never seen a lawyer go to Instagram. Doesn't matter if you're the hotshot lawyer or you're the lawyer that works in the barbershop because he can't afford his own office, which is what I think Tony Busby is at this point.
That is very specific. Are you pulling from personal examples?
No. Well, I did see Coming to America too, where they ran a bunch of businesses out of a barber shop. But anyway.
If he had 18 massage therapists that had positive experiences with him, why did he need to go to the others?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, we must use the big A, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
This story is ugly on many fronts, and we got to be very careful on the legal front with this whole
Second of all, I mean, I'd be more inclined to believe him if there were only 18 massage therapists working in America at any one time.
Oh.
The problem is there are thousands of them, and the fact that 18 of them said you didn't do anything, and what, 30? What are we up to now, 30?
30, it might be more. And actually, I just found another message on his Instagram page, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Wait,
I mean, it doesn't cancel that out, is my point.
Right. I was like, oh no. Is this another edition of Nick Morgasen goes searching around Tony Busby's Instagram?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh no.
You're basically conducting a stakeout at this point. I should probably bring you a cup of coffee.
I don't like coffee, but anyway.
And then, so let me just wrap up by... All right, so yesterday on Friday the 2nd came the latest development in that a criminal investigation is now formally going to be launched into these allegations against Deshaun.
So we will be actually following this story as long as it lasts. So instead of a trilogy, it's probably going to be the Bond films where you're going to recast me halfway through with Patton Oswalt. So
I was going to say the Star Wars films.
Yeah, but I'm not going to come back 30 years later and all of a sudden I'm a grouchy old man. I'm still doing Facebook Live.
Oh my God.
Nick, you just pretty much summed up what we're going to be like 30, 40 years from now, doing Empty the Bench on Facebook Live. you know what? TikTok probably will have a streaming service by then, so it'll probably be on TikTok.
I mean, at a certain point, doesn't Aaron Rodgers really need to retire? The NFL is making, with the COVID-19 vaccines, a little bit more available than they were when the season was going on. The NFL is making the vaccine a mandate for players to go to training camp. Now,
Tier 1 and Tier 2.
Tier 1, of course, meaning most players and most personnel. Tier 2, I think, is non-essential.
Right.
So, that being the case, some teams are actually boycotting the voluntary off-season workouts due to preseason negotiations on the COVID-19 restrictions that will be in place, which, of course, hasn't been confirmed at this point yet. Should the NFL make the vaccines a mandate? And really, they're a private organization. They can do pretty much what they want.
Yeah, and that's what I don't understand. Like, people are getting upset at the professional sports leagues because they have access to the vaccines and money, and they're a private institution. You think they give two you-know-whats about someone's opinion on Twitter with an egg as their picture?
Now, you must understand something, that we are not anti-vaxxers. I'm fully vaccinated. Nick's got his first shot, even though he had it back in December, and thank God he recovered from that. But and I understand vaccine hesitancy, but again, I do urge you to get vaccinated because
get it.
It's definitely not about you. It's about keeping other people safe.
I understand why the teams are boycotting the voluntary workouts because, like Major League Baseball and the MLBPA, which we just spoke about, because Rob Manfred and Tony Clark are like water and oil and they don't get along with one another. Same thing with the NFLPA and the NFL. They're like water and oil. They don't get along with one another. So what's happening? The teams are boycotting the workouts because they're afraid of COVID.
Because they're afraid of COVID, and because they know that the league doesn't give a crap about their health.
And we are back. So that's one part of this 2021 journey. Another clip, another 4 months of 2021 still to come, and another 4 after that. And this next block of clips starts off with an interesting idea you had, Nick Morgasen, back at the time of the NFL draft. Even Schlosser, when we just interviewed him the other day, he had to pause and think about it. So let me give some context here of that first clip. The NFL draft is going on. Or it had actually technically was still going on because it was a Saturday. It was rounds 4 through 7. The big story at the time does not involve any of the picks, however. It involves that Aaron Rodgers supposedly wanted out of Green Bay. And we were talking about, will he stay or will he go? If you say that you don't mind, I'm going to be here till the end of time.
Sounds like a great classic song.
Let me know.
But I don't know. I think I was in a delusional state of mind, partially, where
you suggested Aaron Rodgers to the Browns in exchange for Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham.
Well, and I think this is still true to this day. Do you really think the Browns give a shit about Baker Mayfield anymore? I think they want him out.
No, but I feel like giving up two pieces for an aging Aaron Rodgers. And think about this. I'd say not a decrepit Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, what if the Browns wide receiver core done with Baker Mayfield ever since Odell left?
Especially considering
Odell Beckham has more touchdowns on the Rams than Rams receivers have ever since that trade happened. I mean, that Browns receivers had.
Plus, I mean, Aaron Rodgers has proven himself to be nuttier than banana bread, so...
But I think my point partially proves itself, because I think...
But also, I'll say one other thing to your argument. It's like, it's an interesting take, but yeah, and I personally am going with this argument still after the season. He wants to play out west. He wants to play in a Denver or a Vegas somewhere.
Or the Niners.
I think the Niners are going to go to Trey Lance.
I mean, if Jimmy G breaks a finger or breaks a toenail one more time, you might as well just void his contract.
Trey Lance might be starting this week. We're recording this a little earlier in the week, where for all we know, Trey Lance might start on Sunday.
So as far as the other clips go,
yes. Actually, funny enough, we followed that clip up with just some of our initial reactions on the draft. Then we get into a whole discussion, for a 2-episode discussion on MLB's reputation and the crackdown on sticky stuff, also known as spider tack.
Which that ended up being a thing that we didn't think was going to... We thought it was going to be, we'll get a couple laughs out of this, and then that'll be the end of it. Spoiler alert, it wasn't.
Yeah, those clips kind of went to the tune of like a couple hundred or hundreds that week, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
probably. We had Nick Morgasen, you going off about the Rachel Nichols stuff earlier this year.
Yeah, well, that one kind of hurt me because I actually was a Rachel Nichols fan from the media.
I am telling you, the ESPN has been one of the biggest losers in sports this year. Rachel Nichols left. Ariel Helwani left. They had more cuts, like Kenny Mayne were gone. What was the name of the girl who Rachel Nichols was?
Maria Taylor.
Maria Taylor. She left for NBC.
Yeah, but you know what? F ESPN. They didn't deserve Maria Taylor.
Katie Nolan's gone.
But by the way, and I know we're recording this after New Year's, but Katie Nolan was actually on the ABC Countdown special for 2021.
Yeah, she did a great job, I thought.
Which is weird because, again, ESPN, ABC, Disney.
Yeah.
Corporate synergy everywhere.
We also had a clip about our old friend Conor McGregor after his fight, with his third fight with Dustin Poirier, which he broke his leg in.
By the way, that was probably the scariest thing I ever saw, too. Just like, that's fragile at its finest.
And think about this. Guys. Charles Oliveira, the champion right now, wants to fight Conor because he wants money. So
I saw that.
So Conor might be going into a title fight off 2 losses. Joke.
MMA, folks. That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
That's proper for you.
Usually every time you mention Conor McGregor, the show goes down Tom's spine.
I'm sorry.
We end the segment with a couple of NBA talking points, one of which is another Nick Morgasen rant, when the Lonzo Ball and Kyle Lowry trades were being investigated for everybody's favorite word in sports, tampering.
Yeah, that's one of those buzzwords where it makes you say, we all know that all the big free agents discuss where they're going to go anyway. I mean, heck.
Everybody talks.
Everybody walks.
Everybody is talking at me.
But my whole thing with this, LeBron had a whole TV special, The Decision, to figure out where he was going. And he talked to D-Wade, and he talked to Chris Buzzer. Okay, I'm ranting already. But
you don't want to be redundant because that's actually in the clip.
But yes, my point is ranting is stupid.
And then we had the Knicks talking about the Knicks.
Tampering. Oh my God. Tampering is stupid. Ranting is stupid too, but tampering is stupid. Yes.
And then we had a discussion to wrap things up for the second segment on the Knicks and how they were going to do in 21-22. And
oops.
Well, hey, we won on Christmas Day for the first time since 2011.
I would not say it's aged like milk, but it's starting to turn those days.
Hey, you got a triple-double out of it.
Cold comfort. Your house is burning down, but hey, I was at least able to save the bidet.
Of course you would bring up a bidet. Bidet, golden toilet. It fits perfectly.
Let's just flush everybody to the next segment.
I'll throw you one wild card team, and I might be nuts when I say this team. The Cleveland Browns.
I really don't think they're giving up on Baker Mayfield that easily.
No, but think about it though. They have a lot of weapons. They have a halfway decent defense, which we've seen over the past couple seasons starting to improve. They have offensive weapons. They have the running backs. It would make sense to go if Aaron Rodgers wanted to go to Cleveland. Cleveland would take in a heartbeat.
For Aaron Rodgers' sake, yes. For him, his mission that he wants to pull a Brady, win a championship at his old age, I could see it happening. But again, I think the Packers would want a lot of those weapons, and I don't know if Cleveland is willing to part with any of them.
You know what I would do?
You cannot tell me that Denver is happy with Drew Lock. What do they see in Drew Lock that they are
nothing? Nothing. I mean, there's nothing.
He's decent, but this is one of those bland as dishwater kind of quarterbacks. Yeah, he's the atypical quarterback that John Elway loves.
But I would trade OBJ for Aaron Rodgers if Cleveland went to Green Bay and said you want to make a deal. I would.
I think the only reason that OBJ might get swapped in a potential deal with Cleveland for Aaron Rodgers is because number one, the big contracts, and number two, Cleveland has proven that they can go far without him. Jarvis Landry has, when OBJ went down last season, Jarvis Landry really finally stepped up. I think he became, what he should have been down in Miami.
Right. And I think OBJ might find himself out of the league soon, to be quite honest.
But the point here is, I don't know if what Green Bay would ask. I don't know if they would, be willing to part with Aaron Rodgers. And again, Aaron Rodgers has, he has great weapons around him. Aaron Jones is perhaps arguably the best running back, at least top 10 best running backs in this league. Devontae Adams, arguably the best wide receiver in this league. I mean, the draft, and it's kind of appropriate I said the draft started at number 3 because we were suspecting that the 49ers were going to take Mac Jones, but they decide to acquire Trey Lance, which is a bit of an interesting choice, although somebody I know who's a Jets fan actually wanted Trey Lance over Zach Wilson. I think a lot of concern about Zach Wilson, I don't know if you have an opinion on this, Nick, is the shoulder, is the banged up shoulder.
Of course it's the shoulder. That's the biggest issue. But at the same time, there was another quarterback that I really wanted the Jets to take, but Chicago traded up and got him for got fleeced.
Okay, let's talk about, because we mentioned Denver. We mentioned about Denver potentially taking a quarterback around the time that those, they were on the clock. We heard about the rumors about Aaron Rodgers, but they were on the clock, so we assume, okay, they're going to take Fields or Jones, who were one of the two quarterbacks left. All of a sudden, the Broncos announced that they are acquiring Patrick Surtain II, a cornerback. Now, Surtain is definitely one of the best corners in this pool, and the Denver is in need of defense. But it goes back to what we were saying. I guess Denver loves Drew Lock, or basically they're not giving up on Aaron Rodgers, and they're just that confident they're going to get Aaron Rodgers, which that's That takes balls.
That's a big
that
gamble.
takes balls.
I remember when we were doing the stream and we saw that pick come down. The three of us started screaming. Like
that was the pick of the draft. That was the turning point of this draft.
Well, and then the Giants.
You chart the ripple effects from there.
Well, and then the Giants completely fleeced the Chicago Bears.
The onus was on the MLB to fix this problem, and they did nothing.
Guys, it's steroids 2.0.
I mean, it's definitely dumber than that.
I don't know if I would say it's steroids 2.0 because steroids actually enhances your performance. I wouldn't say that using sticky stuff is necessarily enhancing your performance.
Some people think it does because the tackiness of the ball allows it to spin more, which allows you the hitter can't pick it up as well.
This is like the fifth or sixth pitcher I've heard say that there's dustiness on the baseball, and that's why they have to use stuff. What is dustiness?
I mean, dirt.
I mean, I am one who, I would like to see this game absolutely clean, but the problem is, it seems like there's always a controversy. Like right now we have the crackdown of substances, and we've had all the technology between the Yankees, Red Sox with the Apple Watches, and Houston with the freaking center field cameras, the steroid scandal. Guys, is it me or is just all these controversies that have happened the last 25 years? It's just putting a sickening feeling in my stomach. If he's making the owners money, and right now he is, then technically yes. But it's not, debatable that Rob Manfred has made some really stupid decisions. I mean, i.e. the runner on second in extra innings, these 7-inning doubleheaders. Madison Bumgarner would like to say hello.
And of course, the Astros. Because if you want to crack down on cheating, you start there. But you didn't do that, did you?
Guys, let's and combine that with the reports of they juiced the baseballs and now they've deadened the baseballs. Guys, it feels like to me that this whole league is full of cheaters. Let's talk about that one. So Joe Girardi, after Max Scherzer was already searched, I think it was before the game or in the first inning, and
it was after the first inning,
and then after the third inning, and Joe Girardi actually sent the umpires out mid-inning. I forget if it was like the fourth or fifth inning, but basically
it was bottom. It was I think. Bottom five?
Bottom five? Okay, yeah. So bottom five, Joe Girardi asked the umpires to search Max Scherzer. And you could tell Max Scherzer was a little peeved.
It was a lot, not a little. I mean, the face belied a little, but you can see in his eyes. He was really pissed off. So that being the case, they came to him, and it's basically performance art at this point, where he's rolling his eyes, yelling at them, I got nothing. Now, Kevin Long, the Nationals hitting coach, who knows Joe Girardi from their time together with the Yankees. They won a championship together, actually started screaming at Girardi, and Girardi comes out of the dugout and saying, "Let's go, K. Long," challenging him to a fight.
Well, Scherzer also stared down Girardi.
He did.
As the search was being done, or after the search, they made eye contact, and Joe Girardi was like, let's go, and then comes out of the dugout, gets ejected, and it's just an absolute mess.
Now, I'm not going to sit here, and I don't like to cast aspersions upon Joe Girardi. I actually like the guy. I mean, despite what a lot of Yankee fans' opinions about Joe Girardi,
I was going to say, Nick, you know me.
They hate him then, they love him now because he's not there.
Right, I was going to say, Nick, you know me. I am a big Girardi, basically, apologist. I hate the fact that Girardi got fired and replaced by Aaron Boone, but I will be the first to tell you that Girardi was in the wrong.
That was a Bush League move. I'm sorry. It's basically saying, to a group of cops, hey, that guy's got drugs on him.
For her to claim that it has to do with cultural and that they want to
basically insinuating that Maria Taylor got the job because she was black.
No, well, let's go even a diversity hire is basically what she's saying.
She's basically saying you don't belong here. You're only here because of affirmative action.
Now,
which is, that is peak Karen. The only thing that would have made that better is if she asked to talk to the manager.
So, jeez. But I was going to say the one thing that the one thing that I might agree with her on, everything else I don't, is ESPN has a diversity problem.
Gentlemen, may I bring up the book again?
Oh, wait.
Again, it was mentioned. It was mentioned in that book. Those guys have all the fun.
Oh, this book.
ESPN does have enough. They do, but for Rachel Nichols to weaponize white feminism here, to basically play the oppression Olympics, where my oppression is better than your oppression, so therefore you don't deserve anything, it's just not only is it kind of racist, it's kind of insulting to Maria Taylor, because that woman has busted her ass to get where she is.
Big time. And you know what? I wrote a tweet. Usually the guys don't like when I write individual things, but I think I was actually right on this one. I think Nick read it also when I wrote it.
Yeah, because I had to check to make sure you weren't pissing anybody else off.
I'm trying to find it because I can't find it at the moment. But I essentially wrote that Rachel Nichols put herself in hot water. That
she did. I mean, the fact that you would disparage your own coworker, I mean, over nothing. And Maria Taylor did nothing to you.
Why was he allowed to fight? And the answer of that, of course, is going to be money, because the UFC 264, it is now confirmed the second highest gate in UFC history, the second highest number of pay-per-view buys in UFC history, and Conor McGregor made a solid approximately somewhere between $15 and $25 million, and we're assuming, based on the report I did for Fansided, about $23 million for this fight.
Wait a minute. So to break his leg and be done after round one, he made $23 million?
Yeah, approximately.
Ladies and gentlemen, why are we surprised by all these shenanigans? I really need to know that.
So, we're not done. We're not done with this. No, because to go on to what Nick was saying. So, the UFC, a couple of outlets, the UFC, like Dana White, their head doctor, were asked for comment. Dana refused. The head doctor did not respond. Bob Bennett, the executive director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, responded last night to the Las Vegas Review-Journal and basically said, "We were not made aware of any pre-fight injuries to Conor McGregor." So somebody's lying here, gentlemen.
So, well, I think it's like you said. I think money quells everything. And unfortunately, I think Dana White is the biggest coward.
But, Nick, there is video evidence, or video rather, of like during like the week of fighting and just before that, we could see Conor McGregor on a bike, which you need your legs to move the bike.
Well, I don't know if anyone can have a stress fracture. I mean, I don't know if stress fracture means you broke your leg, or you might.
Stress fracture technically does mean that it broke due to stress on the bone itself, or on the
Well, at the end of the day, somebody is lying. And Nick, I know what you're saying about Dana White and the commission and everything, and it's not the first time we've seen alleged, under the table things. I think of Brock Lesnar with his positive drug test at 200, but this is Conor McGregor we're also talking about. There were two deals that were kind of surprising. So there was a sign and trade involving Lonzo Ball being sent over to the Bulls, and we had Kyle Lowry being signed by his Raptors. Now, however, he's been traded to the Miami.
Well, he was signed. He was a free agent. He's signed with the Heat. The way the rules work is so that the other team saves face, and this is the only sport that does it. Is you can. The free agent team signs him, and then the team that had him can trade him to get the compensation and picks back. That's how it works.
Okay. However, those deals are now being held up, and this is a little bit, I should bring this graphic up first, of breaking news. So according to Ramona Shelbourne and Woj at ESPN, the NBA is now investigating these deals for potential, guess what, Nick? It's our favorite word when we talk the NBA. Tampering.
I mean,
yeah. We finally get a chance to talk about tampering in a non-theoretical sense.
This is like, I'm so tired of this because I feel like we have this conversation a million times. Because for some reason, we can't keep our effing mouths shut when it comes to making deals before the NBA moratorium period. It seems like that word goes above everybody's head when it comes to the NBA. It's called a moratorium, folks.
But you're basically daring Adam Silver to fine you.
But for the NBA, you know, we have stuff about it. You know, it's kind of the sport where everything is kind of open, though. Like, we hear all these times about, oh, what if this person and this person were together? What if these three guys formed a super team? Hello, LeBron. Hello, Anthony Davis. Hello, Russell Westbrook.
There's a difference between rumor, speculation, and actually having conversations between players on different teams, which is what LeBron James did. This happened back this all started with the Miami Heat.
Yeah, but you did. The last I checked, LeBron and company weren't punished for anything like that.
Because it's LeBron James! Kevin Durant signs in the process of a 4-year, $198 million deal with the Nets. We all knew that was going to happen. Of course, I heard rumors yesterday from First Take, of all places, that, if he doesn't resign with the Nets, he's going to end up in a Knicks uniform. And I was like, slow your roll. Like, we know that's not going to happen.
We've heard every rumor of everybody going to the Knicks.
Yet it hasn't happened, and most of all, what the Knicks spent their money on was basically keeping everybody on their roster. Other than they did sign Evan Fournier, and they did sign they got Kemba Walker via trade, so they did improve.
Well, Kemba Walker. So Kemba Walker agreed to a buyout with the Thunder, and now basically the Knicks have him, and they barely have to pay a dime for him.
That's a Brian Cashman move right there.
I mean, literally, Cashman move. I was going to say that's a real Dolan move if you think about it. Well, I don't have to shell most of my money out. I can get somebody for dirt cheap. They're probably paying the NBA minimum, which I think is $500,000. So,
right. Well, Nick, to that end, I give you credit. You were right. Somehow they managed to keep Julius Randle.
I don't know how, but they did.
I mean, that to me is more of a thanks for making us relevant again deal. Because that's what Julius Randle did this past season. He made the Knicks matter again.
Well, they overpaid in more ways than one. They overpaid.
First of all, yes, they overpaid, and second of all, yes, they did. He did make them relevant again, and he did deserve a nice deal. But are they going to still be relevant? Is this going to be consistency, or are they going to be falling back to same old Knicks?
They still don't have the rest of the roster around them. I know they have guys like Quigley and a bunch of other young guys, but that's not a playoff winning roster now.
I mean, they went to the playoffs, and that I don't think that I think the name of the game here was continuity.
All right, 4 more months of review left, and it begins again. Another one of these clips that is just absolutely random. It begins with the Ravens running back. I called it in our notes here, Ravens running back debacle. If any of you remember, this was the time when J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and all the Ravens running backs basically tore their ACLs within the span of like a week or so of each other. And
at which point they decided to try to go into a time machine, travel back in time to 2015, and get themselves a running back.
Get Le'Veon Bell and Devonta Freeman. They had the rookie Tyson Williams.
Well,
party like it's 2017.
Party like it's hot. Party like it's hot. I mean, like...
Okay, this is another random one, but it's also kind of a rant. Gerson Rosas, Mr. NBA.
I mean, this whole year we've had weird incidents in the NBA. It was the T-Wolves. It was the Suns. There was a bunch of incidents where these guys can't control, and I'm going to steal a line from Nick, can't control their penises.
I mean, they can. They just choose not to. There's a difference.
I mean, I think Nick cringed more when I decided to break down the TMZ story for the Suns, but that's a whole different...
I mean, there are certain things about that story that I prefer not to have a mental image of that you've burned into my retinas.
Let's put it this way. He deserved to be fired. I think the Trailblazers had a recent incident as well, if I remember correctly. Their GM is out. The Suns GM is out. The T-Wolves GM is out. You know what? Why don't we just throw Adam Silver in there and throw him out as well?
So we have more controversy to talk about this next block of clips, but we actually have a little I don't want to say repeat, because I don't know if this topic exactly got into the best of a couple weeks ago, but we have another clip of Bruce Murray talking about, this was when the Brady Belichick craft book was announced.
Yeah, Bruce is an amazing guy. He really
is.
I interned with Bruce back in the day, which feels like 12, 13 years ago now at SiriusXM. And basically he broke down the book and basically how I think he said Belichick didn't really want Brady out of town and it was kind of more of a farce, if anything.
And
at a certain, but Bruce always gives you good answers. He never half-asses anything, and he definitely didn't here.
So you want more controversies? Let's see. This block also has the start of the whole John Gruden thing when he used the racist trope for DeMar Smith, which of course led to his resignation as Raiders coach and led to this another piece of the Washington football saga. We have Aaron Rodgers walking back those comments that he made that we talked about in the last best of.
And instead of showing his ass, he showed his feet.
He just wanted to show which little piggy did which.
I mean, is it going to market or is it going all the way home?
This was great. I mean, it was funny in a lot of ways. And I just found the clip actually from that episode where we completely annihilated Gruden resigning and the NFL and how everyone was hiding and the New York Times somehow was king of the mountain at that point in time.
Okay, this one's a little more serious rather. Peng Shui controversy.
So this is something that we thought wasn't going to become a big thing, but somehow this
turned into a big thing.
It took a lot of weird turns too.
Well, here's what people don't understand. So obviously being in the US, we can say whatever opinions for the most part that we want. In China, you can't do that. Unfortunately, you can't do that. Especially against their government system.
And essentially what we try to do, and what we tried to do is try to be as nuanced with this topic as we can, because again, we are talking about sexual assault, which is of course no joking matter, obviously. But you know, we approached it as delicately as we could.
We had trade rumors about Damian Lillard just recently, and then I can't believe this was the last clip of the year. It actually got into the thousands of impressions. And it's me ranting about how Alabama shouldn't have been #1 in the college football playoff.
Well, you need to remember something. We're talking about the SEC here. We're talking about the bias.
Yes, SEC bias. Well, I mean, this broadcast is coming out on January 1st, so it'll be one day removed from the semifinals. So I guess we'll see. We'll see if it's an Alabama-Georgia championship game where SEC can party and do all these backflips and stuff and all the money that's going to pour in from the national championship.
Nick, I'm going to steal a line from you, and I'm actually going to use it for a change. We reserve the right to be wrong if there's no game being played due to COVID.
Exactly.
Okay. I didn't know you were going to go in that direction.
Because I'm hearing all this BS that now they signed a document that basically said that they now have until January 14th to play the national championship game.
That the national championship can be awarded by forfeit?
And I was like, wait a minute. It's like that's ESPN's like golden goose of ratings. You think they're going to allow a forfeit in the national championship game?
We're just gonna go to Alabama and award them the championship trophy.
Yeah, just go to Nick Saban's house and give him the goddamn trophy.
I mean,
you know what we're going to do, guys? We're going to take NCAA football 14 because it's the last known college football game, and we're just going to simulate the championship game. The championship will be determined by a video game.
And you know what?
If the pros can use Tecmo Bowl, why not?
And you know what? We'll make sure that he has Dr. Pepper and Aflac along, because you all know, because he has to make his extra money and sponsors as well. So,
yeah, we'll do our own Fansville commercials.
All right, enough of this. To the clips.
Before I make this statement, first I have to play this. And then I'm going to say, like Nick would say, what are we partying like it's 2005 again?
Well, in this case,
if this was 2017, you would take them straight to the Super Bowl.
Right. I said the Ravens, watch. They're now also going to sign Todd Gurley, and watch. It's going to be Bell, Freeman, and Gurley. It is going to be the 2017 running back All-Stars.
Maybe he thinks he can get to the Super Bowl and try to beat Tom Brady again to exact the measure of revenge. I don't know that would work, but still.
Sounds more like a money grab to me.
Yeah. Do you hear that? That's the Ravens season going down the toilet.
I mean, did it really depend on your running backs when Lamar Jackson can pretty much do anything, and then
Lamar Jackson is the quarterback and the running back now?
Yeah, he refuses to use Lamar Jackson to throw the friggin' ball.
Well, wait a minute. I saw that there was a bet on Caesars and all the other betting platforms. There's a bet for him to lead the team in rushing yards this year.
There's a good chance at this rate.
I would take that bet. That would not necessarily a sure thing, but it'd be pretty close.
Run to the money! Run to the money!
But this is what happens when you have mobile quarterbacks. Coaches get brain worms and they think, "Hey, he's a running back." No, he's a quarterback.
Well, now he has to be a quarterback and a running back, because what the hell is going on over there?
I don't know. It's pandemonium. It's craziness.
It's John Harbaugh. I mean, he wears one pair of khakis, and all of a sudden, he just turns into the dumbest version of himself.
I mean, all right. I'm going to put everybody on the spot. Who's going to be the starting running back for the Ravens?
It's going to be Tyson Williams.
Wait, what did you say?
Who's going to be the starting running back of the Ravens?
Tyson Williams.
Tom, what did you say?
I said Tyson Williams. So Tyson Williams is technically he's technically the week 1 running back starter.
So I'm trying to follow this story because I'm like, all right, so the way they put this out originally was they said, oh, they're just parting ways. So to me, it looked like, oh, well, it's just another Timberwolves being Timberwolves situation.
Technically, you do part ways when the door does hit you in the ass on the way out.
Right, but that's not what I'm talking about. I thought they were just parting way for basketball reasons originally.
Yeah, for the fact that the Timberwolves just that basically they want to get better.
But then all of a sudden, I posted it again when the breaking update came in that the Timberwolves parted ways with Gerson Rosas when the organization discovered that Rosas had a consensual, intimate relationship with a member of the organization.
Which, when your team has been tanking so hard, it's basically a Sherman factory at this point.
But
I really don't know how much worse it could get.
I'm about to erupt like a volcano because...
Okay, hang on. Your show again.
How is this going on? How? I'm so tired of this, and this is going to become the Nick Morgasen ranting hour if we're not careful. But I'm so, frustrated. How are relationships happening in the front office of an organization? I don't care if it's the NBA. I don't care if it's Major League Baseball. I don't care if it's soccer. Excuse me, for crying out loud. We're having intimate relationships in the front office?
Well, there is that old axiom about not crapping where you eat. So I guess in that situation, it does apply.
So, Nick, I'm going to piggyback onto a reference that you made about the team tanking. Well, the team is tanking, and so is he.
Yeah, but apparently, it's almost like he tried to get fired. Oh, God.
Nick looks like he's going to have an aneurysm.
Yeah, he looks. We look like we're bet this far from breaking him.
And you know what's sad? The NBA training camps open on the 28th. And we're already having dysfunction.
And we're talking about this and not that.
We have this book that's about to be released on the New England Patriots of the dynasty era and the relationships between Kraft, Belichick, and Brady, all the tensions behind the scenes. What do you make of this book that's going to come out?
Well, listen, I'm sure it's going to have some explosive stuff in it because you need to sell books. I don't know that there's going to be anything that is going to be earth-shattering in it. I think we all understand what went on behind the scenes. I don't think there was this massive desire on the part of Bill Belichick to force Tom Brady out of town. I personally don't. I think, I hate to say it, anybody that's been involved in a relationship for a long time, and I'm married for almost 30 years, there comes a time when you're like, I wonder if there's something better out there. And not if you're married, by the way. I hope my wife's not listening. I love my wife. but, you always think, well, maybe there's something more exciting out there. And, in marriage, you've got to make things work. In football, you can say, let me see if there's something better. I think Brady was frustrated with the way things were going in New England. I think Belichick, to some extent, when it came down to that Garoppolo situation, may have wanted to move forward with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think he thought he had his quarterback of the future, and Tom Brady's time was going to end sooner than later, which, of course, we've learned is not the case. We know where Kraft sat in the situation. Obviously, I don't want to say aligning because it sounds like there's a division. He was a Brady guy. But, listen, relationships over time do break down. It just happens. So I don't think it's anything. I don't think Bill Belichick forced him out of town. I don't think Tom Brady hated everybody and wanted to leave. I just think after 20 years, they were just ready to kind of move on and find something else. And of course, we saw how it worked out for Tom Brady. And I think it's going to be a while before New England figures this whole thing out.
Mr. Gruden, the sock puppet. Well, the Raiders are having some great success. And, it's funny. I'm thinking of, the NBA, like Donald Sterling. The Clippers were having great success, and then a racist issue came up. And now Gruden's having good success with the Raiders so far this season, and, well, here we are.
I mean, we're talking about the sock puppets, so the only thing I can think of is this.
Look at all the failure!
I mean, that's the only thing that came to my head in this whole situation. Look at all the failure. When's the last time the Raiders were a decent team, to be quite honest? John Gruden is the biggest you-know-what in all of sports. All of sports, not just the NFL. All of sports. This is so right up his alley that he would use racist comments to...
Context is necessary. So this is a 10-year-old email. This is from 2011. Gentlemen, my sports knowledge heads, do you guys remember what happened in 2011 before the season?
Was there a lockout?
There was a lockout, and there was a really big fear that it was going to run into the season. So this was an email, according to ESPN, sent to the president of the Washington football team at the time in 2011. And Gruden said that DeMaurice Smith, who is the NFLPA head, even to this day, had, quote, the lips the size of Michelin tires.
What?
Which, oh my God, you idiot.
So, wait. What?
So if you guys don't know, when somebody has big lips, it is often
it's a stereotype calling down to it's a callback
to the old caricatures of African Americans. Yeah,
racist blackface tropes dating to very too soon in our country's history, if I may be honest.
What?
Which happened? I know you're, and John Gruden, he's not exactly the most racially sensitive person, as this email proves, but you're also an idiot.
You really think $14,650 really matters to these two guys?
No. Which is why I said it's less than what he wipes his ass with every day.
But what I don't get is, why are we not making examples of these morons, these athletes, and say, hey, you've decided to fake that you were immunized?
Because the NFL and the Packers, but the Packers, you could say too, love to fence it. They don't want to take one position or the other. If it hurts their bottom line by going after people who are by insulting people who are anti-vax, they can't abide by that because it's money out of their pocket.
Right, but
it's the Republicans buy sneakers too defense.
Oh, the whole Michael Jordan thing. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But
well, first of all, like I said before, he went back on Pat McAfee and said, I didn't mean for my comments to be taken that way.
Come on.
I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that is essentially what he meant. And it's like, that is the I'm sorry you got offended of apologies.
That's my response to Aaron Rodgers. If I could punch him in the face 1,000,000 times right now, I would.
Again,
but you know what?
He brought this on himself.
I could go get some of that State Farm insurance while I punch him out.
All you had to do was get vaccinated. All you had to do was get a little needle. That's it.
Reminds me of the lottery commercial with the little guy. All you need is a little bit of luck.
You didn't even have to do that. You could have worn a mask.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So it came out that he was walking around, going to press conferences, walking around the facilities, not wearing a mask. So that's why he got the puny little fine, because he was basically spreading COVID.
The fact that the WTA is willing to say, we care about our players so much, we will lose the money. We will lose millions of dollars because we want an explanation.
The end of your statement was hilarious also.
About the IOC. Listen, I was going to say, and you're right, Nick, that the IOC, something should be done, but we know the IOC and how corrupt things are. You would think over the last, with how the Olympic situation was in Japan and how poorly that went, and now it's going to be over in China with not that far over. Plus now you have this controversy. These should be grounds for, hey, wait a minute, we should slow down here and maybe have a conversation. But the IOC, it's not going to happen.
We're talking about corrupt organizations. We're talking about the IOC, and I even think there are times when professional sports leagues are corrupt. We talked about this last week, Nick and I, when the whole John Gruden situation happened. And Nick was asking me, do I think that the stories that were put into the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, and Nick was saying that it wasn't. And I said, no, stop. Come on. They planned to put those stories out regardless whether he did it or not. That was strategically planned.
What I had said was that do you think they put it there on purpose?
Yes.
To fuck with him, specifically.
Well, regardless that situation, I think the NFL should release those documents with the Washington football team. That investigation should be released.
And why?
But if you're holding your breath, waiting for an IOC investigation into this,
not gonna.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Then cancel the Olympics.
They've got too many people they need to please, and the bottom line is
cancel the Olympics
again, Nick. But no, that's my point, Nick Morris, is that you would think this would be a hold on here or a cancel the Olympics, but it's not going to happen because this is the IOC we're talking about.
If I were the Trailblazers at this point, since you're not, you're the Houston Rockets of old with James Harden. You make the playoffs every year. You're gonna get through a round, maybe two, but you're never gonna make it to the NBA Finals. So
they're gonna try.
Well, they're gonna be the little engine that can't instead of the little engine that could, because basically they're gonna get there and then they're gonna flat tire and train goes over.
I mean, I can't imagine anybody who would want to take that kind of massive cap hit, although I'm sure James Dolan just jolted out of bed when he heard that news.
They're not going to take a cap. Well, they're going to take a cap hit, but they're going to trade and get resources back in return to absorb the cap hit.
Oh, God. I manifested him going to the Knicks, didn't I? Oh, God.
Actually, you know what, though? Don't be surprised, because he's an aging star.
I know.
It's James Dolan's favorite type.
And Jim Dolan is all over that like white on rice, like shit on Velcro.
Hey, at least for Damian Lillard's standpoint, being with the Knicks would be better than being with the Trailblazers, which, if I can quote an old urinating tree joke, an old Schlosser joke, it's the Trailblazers are basically also known as Damian Lillard and his merry band of "You're fucked." Because it's true. It's Damian Lillard and who else over there?
And CJ McCollum. But actually,
CJ McCollum.
Wait. CJ McCollum is now out with a collapsed lung, so he's not playing for a long time.
Point proven.
So basically, if I were Damian Lillard, I'd say, "Holy fuck, I'm fucked! Get me out of here!"
Alabama suffered a loss to Texas A&M, who is ranked number 23 in the final rankings. Georgia's only loss is to Alabama in that conference championship game. How did Georgia fall to number 3? How can you take Alabama? Alabama, who lost to Texas A&M, who's ranked number 23, who nearly lost to unranked Auburn. If an Auburn player didn't go out of bounds on that on one of their last drives in regulation, Auburn would have won the Iron Bowl. Alabama probably isn't the college football playoff. Why is Alabama ranked number 1 over Michigan?
What the f?
Well, I have 2 words for you. Nick Saban. That's
Hey, I said that. I said that the other day.
But we know somehow he has
here.
compromising photos of everybody on the selection committee. So
let me see Michigan, though. Their only loss was to Michigan State. Who's ranked number 11? Are you kidding me?
Wow, I've never seen you get this worked up over college football.
We're getting worked up, and I'm just sitting here glad that Michigan.
Wait a minute. I want a New Year's resolution because I'm liking this already, Nick. I want a New Year's resolution that we get a more fiery Tom for the next season of Empty the Bench.
Yeah, Angry Tom is good. I like that.
Santa, are you going to grant them their wish?
Wait, I'll let you know in a second. Hey, Santa, you're going to grant their wish?
Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Okay,
Still.
but you know what? I'm not surprised. But the 2 words are not Nick Saban. You know what the 2 words are?
What?
SEC bias. All right. That is the end of this best of. That's the end of all our best ofs. And you know what? It is 2022 now, so it's time to end our focus on 2021 and look forward to 2022. 1 week from now, January 8th, Empty the Bench, episode 116, the start of our 2022 season.
Yeah, that's right. And we've got a bunch of new stuff going, so stick around.
Wait a minute. You mean the garbage pail that's 2021 is finally gone? I don't have to do any more LeBron rants. I don't have to do any more other weird things that I'm angry about.
Who says that's going to be limited to 2021? You don't think you're going to do a LeBron rant in 2022? Come on, Nick and I know you better.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Who exactly are you trying to convince here?
I don't know, myself. Or as LeBron was, he was playing center for the first time in a game. So maybe I'm trying to convince myself to take a new position in life.
You're saying new year, new me, but we all really know about resolutions and what they consist of.
You mean like that sounds like me and my saying I'm not going to do a LeBron rant is like saying everyone who's going on a diet is actually going to go on a diet.
Take it from me. They never stick.
Nope. But so instead, just stick with us.
Yes. Yeah. Make sure you stick with the Empty the Bench podcast network. As we said, Empty the Bench, our show, returns January 8th on a Saturday at 3 p.m. And we have make sure you hit the like and subscribe. We're growing in subscribers. We're growing in views.
Yeah, so I think we got us, Empty the Bench, but we've also got Beyond the Bench with the 2 of you. We've got Living Life. We got Living Life, which is a 3-in-1 show about different lifestyles. And
I basically invited my family to do a podcast.
Yes, essentially. We got Here Now, the News on Sunday mornings, usually with Jerry Barmish. So we got a whole bunch of other stuff coming too. So you don't want to miss out. So
we got Soundproof also.
Soundproof. Oh yeah, Soundproof with Sherry Pine has just launched over the holidays.
If you love music, tune in.
Yes. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell. That way you get all of the notifications.
Ring, ring, ring.
By the way, this is a new year, so I can make a new threat. If you don't ring the bell, I'm coming to your house and I'm hitting you with a battering ram.
You should just hit him with a bell.
Yeah, I'm stealing the Liberty Bell and I'm parking it on your front lawn.
Shh. Maybe I did that already.
And then after that, you're gonna go steal the Declaration of Independence, right?
Hey, the National Treasure movies are great. Don't diss them. They're making a new one in 2022.
Of course they are.
Because everything's new in 2022, including Empty the Bench.
Actually, you know what? You know what's not new? Nicolas Cage, but that's a whole different story.
I was going to say, no, everything is just reruns until we die.
I guess. That's how you want to put it.
Well, I mean, Empty the Bench won't.
You know what we should do? Like we did, I think it was last year, we did a whole episode in reverse on April Fools. We should just pull out another one and just do another reverse episode.
No,
we might confuse the shit out of people, but yeah.
We usually do anyway.
Yeah, that's not any different. All right, it's been a little too much here. So, Tom Albano here with Nick Fodera and Nick Morgasen. Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see you next week for the return of Empty the Bench. Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. See you next week.